Hi, I'm Carol Bookout, and I'm going to tell you about Polk County HOPE, Health and Opioid Prevention Education. This was developed after a group attended the Opioid Summit in 2017. That group included law enforcement officers, medical personnel, first responders, public health officials, clergy, and even school administrators and teachers. And after the Opioid Summit, they decided that Polk County needed some attention due to the fact that the opioid crisis is prevalent in all counties throughout the state and in the nation. You may be wondering, why do teachers need to think about opioid abuse in the classroom? Well, the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services reports that 951 deaths in 2017 were related to opioid overdose. Unfortunately, this number is increasing throughout the state of Missouri due to the fact that heroin has become more accessible, and also fentanyl and carfentanil have become prevalent throughout the state. With this increase, our students are going to be affected directly or indirectly in the coming days, more and more often. So it's important for us to know about the problem and about solutions that are available. So I'm going to try to share with you a foundation of understanding, just the most basic information about the addiction, and then also some of the things that we're doing and working on to combat that problem in Polk County. First, let's talk about where are opioids found. Since many opioid abusers are using prescription drug medications, they are easily found in our homes with our family members. If we have a family member who has been prescribed pain medication due to an illness or accident, and that medication is not taken completely, then the leftover medication can become something that is found to be abused later on by others. There are other sources of pain medication that can be accessed through doctor's offices or pharmacies. And you may wonder, well, how can they get them from doctor's offices or pharmacies? Well, once a person starts to abuse, they oftentimes will kind of make up problems and go to see a doctor, and then go to see a different doctor for a different ailment. Or there'll be a small group of abusers who will work together and see various doctors or even pharmacists within the county. Maybe not in the same town, but they'll move from town to town within the county, or if necessary, from county to county. So that is the reason why you may have heard about the PDMP. And the PDMP is the Prescription Drug Monitoring Program, and it is a way for law enforcement and doctors to keep track of people who might be abusing prescription drugs. And they are the patient is registered in the drug monitoring program, and it is recorded their name and then how much medication was prescribed to them and when. And that way other doctors or pharmacists can see if this patient has recently had a prescription filled and how much that was and what it was for. And that is a great way for us to kind of keep track of people who might be abusing the system. Of course, then there's also drug dealers, and this is a real prevalent problem in Polk County. We unfortunately have a lot of this activity going on, but there are things that are being done to address that problem. The scariest part of people getting their medications from drug dealers is that we're seeing it laced with this fentanyl or carfentanil, which is deadly many times, most of the time. The first time that they use a drug that is laced with fentanyl or carfentanil, it results in a death. So that's really a scary part of what we're finding with drug dealers nowadays. You may wonder, well, how does someone become addicted in the first place? In some cases, it's quite simple. There are reports of some noticing a feeling of euphoria after taking just one pain reliever, after maybe a car accident or a sports injury, or maybe they're being treated for a chronic illness and they've noticed that they just feel better all the way around, and so they like that feeling, and they, without realizing it, they become addicted to that feeling. And even after their need for the pain medication has subsided, they want to continue with that. There are others who have started on, you might say, lighter illicit drugs like marijuana, and they are now looking for a greater high. And so they go to stronger drugs like the prescription pain medicines or heroin. It may seem that we're fighting a lost cause because it's easily accessible and there's so many different ways that they can get it. And pain medicines, how are we going to do without pain medications and things like that? But there are some things that we can do. We are working with physicians to educate how to use alternatives to pain medicines. Physicians are now starting to start with a lighter dose of pain medication, shorter term prescriptions than they were before, and to help reduce the likelihood of addiction starting out. Also, they've developed screenings for people to identify patients who might be at risk or prone to addiction in the first place. So there are some screenings that they can do through blood work, and some just through asking a series of questions to find out if a person might have a tendency to those addictive behaviors. These efforts are expected to reduce the number of prescription pain medication addictions and hopefully prevent or reduce that overall number of addictions that we see rising now. So there are people in our community who are ready to take action. These people include law enforcement officers, first responders, healthcare professionals, city, state, county, state government officials, public health officials, employers, church members and leaders, and educators. And they're all starting to work together to bring awareness to the public about the problem that we have, to make sure that there's an understanding of what opioid abuse is, where it starts, and things that we can do to combat it. As the awareness of opioid abuse is spread, the message we want to convey is hope. Many people who find themselves addicted feel hopeless because of the quick downward spiral they find themselves in. And in the midst of overcoming the addiction, people need to know that they are supported from family, but also from our community. So we are putting together resources that will be available to people as they are in recovery or seeking recovery. Seeking treatment, not only for them, but for their family. And this will address their physical, mental, spiritual, financial, and mental health issues that they might encounter. The HOPE Task Force has a plan to address the opioid abuse battle in 3 stages, beginning with awareness. With this stage, we're currently in a soft launch this summer of awareness campaign, and you'll see that through social media, such as this on the Polk County Health Center website. We have just rolled out last week our first bit of information, and we're using the hashtag Hope for Polk, and we hope that people will pick up on that and follow that hashtag on social media, primarily Facebook and Twitter. And then we will also be sharing information in written form for those who maybe don't use social media quite as much. And we'll be getting that information out to the community in written form through posters and brochures. And then in October, we will begin going to businesses, community events, schools, and sharing information about the opioid crisis, and just making the community at large aware of the problem. From there, we're going to go into intervention. And with our intervention, we've really already started, because we've started the PDMP in Polk County. But we will be using that program more and more as pharmacists and doctors are educated on the program. And then we will also be educating physicians on alternatives to pain management, so that maybe they can reduce the number of prescription medications that they write and instead use these alternative methods to pain management. And then we also want to make that information available to the community, so that they might be educated and maybe choose not to use pain meds for their pain management. And then the final phase will be treatment. And with treatment, we will hopefully be able to establish some outpatient and inpatient treatment centers, and then also offer medicated assisted treatment and recovery. So we have 3 phases ready to go to roll out, and really have already begun many steps towards those 3 different phases. So you may wonder how you can help. Well, telling others about the opioid crisis and becoming educated yourself on the information that's out there. And I wanted to share with you just a little bit about where you can find more information. The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services has lots of information available, and a lot of this information is statewide, but you can look up information just for our county if you want. So they have lots of good resources in here. If you would like to, just for your own benefit, have that available to you. There's also a website called SAMHSA, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, and they have a lot of great resources that are specific to opioids and then other drug abuses as well. But lots of information available there. And then again, this just shows you the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, and these are reports, and they have infographics that you can use and share as well if you like. And that would be the best way to help, is to just start the conversation. So again, you can follow our hashtag Hope for Polk, and I would be happy to answer any questions if you have any. Thanks so much.